Hey everyone, it's Megan taking over for Ernie on the webinar today. And I wanted to just start out and see if someone could type into the questions panel to let me know if you can hear me okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I have a very, very exciting guest with me today, Daryl Gray from the Wright and Gray Law Firm. It's a personal injury firm in New Orleans. And Daryl and I have been working together for a few months now, and I've been really, really impressed with the way that he runs his practice, as well as the way that he really, really cares about the community that he lives in. So I asked him to join me today to share some of his tips and best practices and warnings and all that good stuff. So welcome, Daryl.
Hey, thank you for having me on.
So I actually want to, right now I have your homepage pulled up, but I'm going to go ahead and, this is Daryl. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here, and I want to go ahead and share this video because this is a really cool, and I'm not saying everyone needs an expensive, high-produced video to show off their firm, but everyone does need a story. And this is a very, very good story that resonates with the target client. So I'm just going to set up and play it for you.
At WPG, we have a core set of shared values, one being community.
To be a person that grew up here, it's a great feeling for me to give back to my community. When we get a client here, we want to make that our client for life.
What we do in the practice of law is so that we can give back.
We do as much as we can in the community to make sure that people understand that we're a partner. We're here to help, we're here to listen. We're in the solution business. It's all about addressing problems and issues for those who can't do that for themselves. The firm's main goal is to represent our clients with dignity and respect. We honor that.
When you come to this law firm, you're going to feel at home. You're going to feel comfortable. You will actually get to meet with us. We will get to know who you are as a person so that we can prepare your case.
As a firm, we've got over 60 years of litigation experience. They're going to get top-notch legal representation, the knowledge, the experience, and the craft that it takes.
I was 17 years old when I went to Vietnam. I got myself in trouble after I came out of the military, and my background was not pretty. I had a serious 18-wheeler accident, and it had some serious consequences. I've had all kind of pain and had operations. I needed a lot of help. But a lot of attorneys didn't want to take my case because of my criminal background. But Eric Wright stood up for me. He went through the changes, he took the toll. My case turned out really well with Eric and the members of his team working on it. After my case, anybody and everybody that I know, I send them to Eric Wright and his team.
At the end of the day, with Wright, Pichon, and Gray, you're not just getting one attorney. You're getting a powerful team of attorneys. We're here for you to make sure you get the justice you deserve.
We promise to listen, we promise to learn your story, and we promise to craft a strategy that's going to best serve your interests.
Together, we're a legal machine and we are unstoppable.
Okay, so that's the story. We're all briefed. I do love these videos and how they basically tell a whole story in just a couple of minutes. That's something you can do with your homepage too, by the way. So back to Daryl. Daryl, I've got this page up intentionally right now to show your team. You started off as a solo, but you're now running a really successful personal injury practice with over 10 employees. What did it take for you to get from point A to point B?
Well, it's a little counterintuitive, but what we did, we started to focus on, like you heard in the video, we did a lot of focusing on the community and putting the community and our clients first and our employees and staff first. And that's how you kind of grow your practice from a organic and internal way. So I always tell people, like, if you want something to get to a point to where it makes sense for you, you want your practice to be a practice that you can build a quality of life that you want to have around, you have to focus on the individuals that make up your success. And those are going to be your clients and your employees. So one of the biggest parts for growing a practice from when I started, I essentially, it was just myself. And before I became a partner in the firm that I'm in now, I had 9 employees. But now we have 20. I think in the last year, we've grown to the point that we have 22 employees and 9 attorneys. And there's no other way to grow your practice other than to focus on the quality of life of your firm, the culture of your firm, and making sure that your clients are the primary focus on the day-to-day operations of your office.
Yeah. So what would you say are some of the biggest lessons that you learned along the way as you started to scale?
Well, the first thing that I did, I tried to reverse the mirror and put myself in the shoes of my clients. And I realized that everybody that you come in contact with who seek the help or the assistance of an attorney, they want to have that specialized attention. You want to give them that, what I've coined as like boutique feel, right? You want to have that boutique feel where you feel like, you're an individual within the inner workings of the legal system. Obviously, communication and personal attention is kind of paramount when you're dealing with that situation and you're building up that attorney-client relationship. But you also want to make sure that as you do that, you do it in a manner in which you build a strong relationship that the clients feel comfortable with. So you always put the situation in place that the clients know that you have their best interests at heart. In order to do that, just to drill down a little bit, we had to put in strong systems and procedures that it looks and feels as if, you're giving these clients this individual attention, which you are, but it's also done in a systematic fashion. And for us, making sure that there's a lot of written communication. I personally take one day out of the week, and that's Wednesdays, to schedule face-to-face client appointments. And it may just be, a 10-minute appointment with clients, and I fill my day with those meetings. But that's the kind of stuff that, and just, we have a ton of clients, and we can't see everybody on one day, but we give them the option to come in and have a conversation with their lawyer face to face. And it's just like the concierge service that really puts you in a lane of your own, so to speak.
Yeah, so it almost sounds like you're kind of taking like a doctor's office approach where you have like set office hours and you've got your system down where you can sort of stack client meetings in one day.
That's absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. And, like I said before, it may just be 10 minutes face to face with a client, but the importance and the goodwill that you buy in that attorney-client relationship is, it speaks volumes, and it just pays dividends over and over again. And, always the best advertising is word of mouth. So when you start to give clients the kind of individual attention they feel like everyone should have, they go out and they tell everybody about, how their experience with your law firm, and it just turns into more and more business.
Yeah, and I've noticed that. So kind of talking about that sort of referral system and how, the best way to get work is to do good work. And you and I have talked about that before. You just do good work for people. They refer you to people. But you also do a lot of outreach in the community through local events, giveaways, all that good stuff. How do you feel like those, like being out in the community events, contributes to your overall success in bringing in new clients?
I think, that's probably the number one thing that has helped grow the practice from me being a solo to us having the level of success that we've had. The development of attorney-client relationships, they stem from your relationships with the community. Like, there's no other way around it. We don't, and it's an investment of time, which obviously is the most valuable commodity that we have, because, we all have busy practices. We're all trying to grow our practices, but to invest that time in community events and finding out, what's important to the people that you're serving, and just having these conversations to where you're getting to know these clients as individuals, you start to realize what you can do in the community to just not, it's not all about getting new business. It's just really about being a good, responsible citizen and not just, being one of these quote unquote blood-sucking attorneys. A lot of people have that feel and idea about, personal injury attorneys and attorneys in general. So you're showing that, you're not so much about taking from the community as you are really wanting to be a part of the solution and putting some energy and some resources back into the people that help you become a success.
Yeah, so like being a good attorney and getting clients has a lot to do with being a good person.
There's no way of not, focusing on understanding who your client is. Like, in order to represent your client to the best of your abilities, you have to know who their client is as an individual. You start to, as attorneys, we're trained and taught to take away the human aspect of the practice of law. And again, when I say a lot of things are counterintuitive, that's one of the things that sticks out the most. It's counterintuitive to not know the individual that you're representing as you try to advocate for that person. You have to know them. You have to know what they do on a day-to-day basis. You have to know, where they work, how long it takes them to get to work, who's one of their friends at work. You want to know all of this stuff because you humanize the legal issue. And, again, training your office and training your staff to create a culture of caring in turn gives you influx of business, and you get to a point where you can kind of create your own quality of life within your law practice, and you're happy. Everybody's kind of in a better place when you know your clients, and you can kind of weed out some of the things that you don't want to deal with on a day-to-day basis as you grow your practice.
Yeah. So you've actually recently had a lot of success in clients coming to you who were victims of the if anyone's unfamiliar, there was a really serious incident in New Orleans where they were building this new Hard Rock hotel and it collapsed. And a lot of people were injured and some people died. And also the surrounding area was blocked off, and I believe still is blocked off, right, Daryl?
That's correct.
Yeah. So a lot of people were affected by this. And you started helping a few people, and then that snowballed into getting actually a lot of clients for this case. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that happened?
Sure. Again, we're going back to community involvement. The vast majority of the people who were involved in that tragedy, the Hard Rock Hotel collapse, the workers were overwhelmingly Hispanic descent and Spanish-speaking individuals. So we've always focused on a part of our community outreach and our community involvement with working with some of the Spanish-speaking people in our area, in our city of New Orleans. So we had already built that goodwill up with the community. So once we were able to announce and make some strides toward letting people know that we were interested in helping people with this situation, one turned into, I think we're at 80 now. We're at 80 clients that are involved in the Hard Rock hotel collapse who had some kind of injuries or damages, economic, financial damages from that situation. And information, controlling the information and getting out good information to the public is always a good way of building goodwill with the community that you're in, and letting people know that you are familiar with what's going on. You have some level of knowledge about it, and you're willing to help those, even if it's just having a conversation, help those who are in need of some assistance or just having some more information about what's going on with that particular situation.
Yeah. And being part of your marketing team, I also just wanted to say, like, that makes our job a lot easier. The fact that you already have this built-in way of doing things that is so client-focused and information-focused, and it's not salesy, it's not smoke and mirrors, it's not like a lot of what you see with personal injury lawyers with, using like the example of no, I'm not going to say anyone's name, but using the generalized example of the big talking head personal injury lawyer who you never actually get to work with or see or hear. And instead you're taking the approach of like really having your boots on the ground with every case that you work on.
That's correct. And again, it goes back to my original point. It's counterintuitive. You think that you're giving away free information. A lot of attorneys feel as if, hey, I need to get paid for a consultation. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is the way in which I take care of my family, and I run my practice, and I build up income. Well, that's not what the average Joe Blow wants to hear. That's not how they're looking at it. You making yourself a accessible resource gives you credibility and gives you cachet that most lawyers don't focus on. And it's very simple, and it's a little bit of time that kind of pays dividends, multitudes of dividends, because you're able to spend an hour, having a conversation like we're having now, and speaking to a multitude of people, and then before you know it, your phone starts ringing because these people want more information. If you built up that level of trust to where they want to talk to you about whatever their particular legal issue is.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think a lot of times people are very intimidated by paying for an initial consultation when they don't really know what they're going to get. And I think that can often turn people off from potentially hiring someone if, the only way to get to them is to pay them first. So I think that's a really good model. And also, I just wanted to mention, if anyone has questions, you can go ahead and throw those in the question panel now. And I will field those to Daryl. Daryl, I actually have one more question for you, which is, what would you say is the biggest mistake or mistakes that you made as you were ramping up your firm?
I think one of the biggest issues that we've encountered, and I know it's been a huge problem for me, it was staffing, employee hiring, new employees, and the way in which you evaluate the people that you want to bring into the fold. Culture is everything, in my opinion, when you're trying to grow a business. So in order to develop the proper culture, you have to have the right people in place to help you grow. And again, it's counterintuitive. One of the things that I found to be the best way for us to build the culture and build the product that we want to put out in the world, in the marketplace for our clients, I started really focusing on hiring people who didn't have legal experience. I wanted to have a room full of smart people. I want to have an office full of smart people, and those people are trainable. Once you have, because if you're coming into a situation and you've been working in law firms for 10 years, you don't know what environment or what kind of system that person's coming from. You don't know if there's a level of toxicity that's going to affect your firm. So you want to make sure that you really look at who you're bringing in and how can that person help you and how can that person hurt you. So we've came to the conclusion that it's really better just to hire people who have not worked in law firms, but who are really, really smart and who get it and who you can train, and you can train quickly, and you can, again, reinforce the positive culture that you want to create. We also, in terms of staffing, just focusing on giving people hybrid positions to where it's a lot of cross training done. One of the things that I try to do with our law firm is take other successful business models and see if we can incorporate those. I love the communal feel that you get in tech. So we've taken some of that to try to create some synergy with our staff. Obviously it gives you, if you're doing hybrid training, it gives you a little bit more bandwidth in terms of your ability to take on more business and grow your firm that way, because people are doing the same things and they can kind of interact, and that synergy kind of becomes really a powerful tool to push your firm forward. So non-legal backgrounds, if I'm telling you like, hey, the thing you need to focus on in the next six to 12 months, try to hire smart people who don't have legal experience. And I think that'll help you grow your firm a little bit quicker than you would think.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you said that. I'm reading a book right now by the founders of the Basecamp software. And one of the things that they say is that they hire people, not degrees, and the importance of not looking for someone with that specific background, because it's almost like you have to unteach them how to do things in the way that they learned at their previous job. How would you say, let's just say that you're hiring someone tomorrow with non-legal experience. How do you go about finding those people, attracting them, and vetting them?
Personal reference is always the best way of going about getting, good potential employees. But I think focusing on problem solving in your conversation, I think the conversational style of interviewing is the best way to really get to know a person in a short period of time. You always focus on how they deal with problems. Like how do you deal with your shortcomings? How you deal with issues that pop up? Because anybody who's run a law firm, they understand that you spend the majority of your day putting out fires. So you always want to have people who are very proactive, who look for efficient solutions. So the conversation and attracting those kind of people is, you ask them a series of questions about, in the event there's a situation like this happened, what would you do? And it's not always a canned answer that you're going to be looking for. It's more so about that person's approach to solving an issue that they're facing and how proactive they are in getting to the solution and getting past that particular roadblock.
That's a really good tip. I hope everyone's taking notes on that. I have noticed actually, I've walked through your office and I noticed two things about your office. One is that it's very busy. There's a lot going on there. And the other one is that everyone who works there seems to really like their job, which is not, I've been in a lot of lawyers' offices and that is not typically the norm. So tell us a little bit more about how you cultivate that team culture and make it a place where your employees are excited to go to work.
Well, again, like I said, we try to build a winning team based upon, it's a sports analogy. I always look at championship teams like the Bulls when they had Michael Jordan. What were the pieces that they put together to make sure that they covered all their bases? And they may not have had, you got Michael Jordan on your team, and you may have Scottie Pippen, but you might not have the best point guard in the NBA. But that piece may not fit into the team that you're building. So it's always about making sure that you create a infrastructure within your system that makes sense for what you're trying to accomplish. The overall arching theme, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, you want happy clients, you want happy staff. That's going to equate to a better quality of life for the actual practice owner. So, we take really good care of our staff members. I understand wholeheartedly that we can't be successful without them. So when it comes to salary, I think we pay a really competitive salary. We do a lot of team building exercises. We try to have a bonus structure that's in place to where, there's quarterly bonuses based upon where we are as a firm. You got to keep within your purview the ethical rules when it comes to taking care of your staff financially and compensating them. But, I think that's something that's really good for positive reinforcement. We always pick a employee of the month, and that comes with like a $300 bonus if you're an employee of the month. So that kind of incentivizes our staff to put forth their best effort. Positive reinforcement is everything. If you're able to celebrate people when they do something that's outstanding, that's always great. It creates that teamwork that people understand. Hey, I'm appreciated, and it is true. You can't grow up successful practice as a dictator. You have to understand it and communicate and care about the people that that are helping you service your clients and in turn helping you build a successful practice.
Daryl, I'm taking some notes over here too, because that's been, even running my business, that's been something I'm working on this year is words of affirmation and learning how important that is, because it's not something that I was doing before. I'm like, of course they know I appreciate them. Of course they know they've done a great job. But people don't always know that they've done a great job or that you're happy with it, and it really does. I'm noticing it really does mean so much to people to just say, hey, this thing you just created was killer. I'm just so thrilled with it. Great job. And just taking 1 minute to do that makes the hugest difference for people.
Yep. Yes, absolutely, 100%. You know, my wife kind of pushed me in that direction in terms of like this, you know, like you said, words of affirmation. It gives people acknowledgement for the effort that they're putting forth, and that's what you want. That's what you want with your staff. You want to make sure that they understand you appreciate them.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on time. Daryl, thank you so, so much for everything that you've shared with us today. I have a lot of notes on my own. I know everyone here really appreciates your time. And if you're on this webinar, it means you're going to be joining us in May at boot camp in New Orleans. So you will meet Daryl in person there. If you have any other questions for him, or in the meantime, if you want to throw any questions or anything for Daryl in Slack, you can actually throw that in the bootcamp thread as well. So thank you so much, Daryl. We really appreciate you.
Appreciate you, Megan. Thanks for having me on.
Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.